The first thing anyone noticed about the new nurse was how quiet she was. She never argued, never boasted, and never tried to impress anyone. Her uniform looked ordinary, her name badge simply read Emma Carter, and she spent most of her shifts moving from room to room without drawing attention. To the senior staff she seemed too calm, almost timid. The residents whispered that she had probably transferred from a small rural clinic because she could not survive in a real trauma center. Every joke landed on her shoulders, yet she answered each one with the same polite smile before returning to work. The emergency department at St. Gabriel Medical Center never stayed quiet for long. Ambulances screamed through the entrance every hour, helicopters landed on the rooftop, and lives balanced on decisions measured in seconds. Emma adapted quickly, memorizing every hallway, every supply cabinet, and every face. Even so, no one believed she belonged there. One afternoon, Dr. Mitchell watched her preparing surgical instruments. "You've never worked military trauma, have you?" he asked with a grin. Emma looked up calmly. "No, doctor." "I thought so. Around here we don't have time for beginners." Several nurses laughed softly. Emma simply nodded. "I'll do my best." Her answer only encouraged more smirks. Across the room, veteran nurse Linda felt uncomfortable. "They're being too hard on her," she whispered. Dr. Mitchell shrugged. "If she's good enough, she'll prove it." Before anyone could continue, the emergency alarm echoed through the hospital. Mass casualty inbound, military convoy accident, multiple critical patients arriving in 3 minutes. The department exploded into motion. Stretchers rolled into position. Blood coolers opened. Respiratory teams prepared ventilators. Security cleared every hallway. Outside, rain hammered the ambulance bay as military vehicles raced through the gates. The first ambulance doors burst open. A young Marine with severe burns. The second carried 2 soldiers suffering blast injuries. The third brought the most critical patient, Captain Daniel Hayes, decorated Marine officer, 34 years old, massive chest trauma, no detectable blood pressure, barely breathing. Combat medics jumped from the ambulance. "We've already transfused 4 units. He needs surgery now." Doctors surrounded the stretcher. Emma stepped forward to help. Dr. Mitchell raised a hand. "Stay back. Just keep supplies coming." She obeyed without argument. Inside Trauma Room 1, organized chaos erupted. Monitors screamed. Blood covered the floor. The captain's heartbeat weakened with every passing second. A medic leaned close to Dr. Mitchell. "Sir, he survived 2 overseas deployments. Please don't lose him here." Mitchell nodded while concentrating on the ultrasound. The image revealed devastating internal injuries. "Prepare for emergency thoracotomy." The operating team rushed into position. Emma quietly handed instruments exactly when they were needed, anticipating every request before anyone spoke. One resident finally noticed. "How does she know what's next?" No one answered. Minutes later, disaster struck. The monitor emitted one long, horrifying tone. Captain Hayes' heart had stopped. "He's in cardiac arrest," shouted the anesthesiologist. "Start compressions." Another doctor climbed onto the stool. Chest compressions began immediately. Epinephrine. Shock. Nothing. Another shock. Still nothing. The room filled with desperate voices. "Come on!" "No rhythm." "We're losing him." Dr. Mitchell stared at the monitor. "We've been down for 6 minutes." Silence threatened to overwhelm everyone. One surgeon quietly whispered, "We may have to call it." Emma suddenly looked toward the captain's surgical wound. Her expression changed for the first time since arriving at the hospital. Not fear, recognition. She stepped closer. "Doctor, please stop compressions." Mitchell turned sharply. "What?" "The injury isn't responding because that's not the primary problem." His eyes narrowed. "This isn't the time." Emma remained calm. "There's a hidden ventricular rupture beneath the clot. Every compression is making it worse." Several surgeons exchanged skeptical glances. A young resident muttered, "She's guessing." Emma didn't raise her voice. "I'm not guessing." Dr. Mitchell looked back at the lifeless Marine, then at the steadily ticking clock. 7 minutes without a heartbeat. One wrong decision would end everything. He had no reason to trust the quiet nurse everyone had underestimated, yet something in her unwavering eyes made him hesitate. For the first time that day, the entire trauma room fell completely silent. Dr. Mitchell searched Emma's face for even the slightest sign of uncertainty, but he found none. Around them, the monitor continued its relentless tone while the operating room seemed to hold its breath. "If you're wrong," he said quietly, "dies." Emma met his gaze without flinching. "If we continue exactly as we are, he dies anyway." No one spoke. 7 minutes had already passed. The odds were collapsing with every second. Mitchell stepped back. "You have 30 seconds. Show me." The room froze. Residents stared in disbelief as the quiet nurse everyone had mocked stepped beside the operating table. Emma slipped on fresh sterile gloves with practiced precision. Her hands never trembled. She examined the wound for only a moment before speaking with calm authority. "Suction." The instrument appeared in her hand instantly. "Retractor." Another followed. She moved with astonishing confidence, exposing the damaged heart while everyone watched in stunned silence. Hidden beneath a thick clot was exactly what she had predicted. A narrow ventricular rupture almost invisible from the original angle. "My God, whispered one surgeon. She was right. Emma placed a finger over the tear to slow the bleeding. Temporary clamp. The nurse handed it over before anyone else reacted. Internal paddles ready. And Dr. Mitchell looked at her in disbelief. "You've done this before." Emma didn't answer. Her entire focus remained on the motionless Marine lying before her. Charge to 20. The paddles touched the heart. Clear. The heart jumped violently. Nothing. Again. Clear. Another surge, still flat. Emma refused to panic. Increased to 30. The room obeyed without questioning her. Clear. The shock echoed through the operating room. A single heartbeat appeared, then another weak, unsteady, but unmistakably alive. "Pulse," shouted the anesthesiologist. "I've got a pulse." Relief swept through the room like a tidal wave. Several staff members stared at Emma as if they had never seen her before. But she wasn't finished. "The rupture needs repair now," she ordered. "Needle holder, sutures, clamp." Every request came before anyone anticipated it. She repaired the damaged tissue with extraordinary speed while explaining each step. "Maintain pressure, easy, now release." The blood flow stabilized. The monitor transformed from desperate chaos into a steady rhythm. Captain Daniel Hayes was alive. An overwhelming silence settled across the operating room before applause erupted almost instinctively. Even the hardened trauma surgeons couldn't hide their amazement. Dr. Mitchell slowly removed his gloves. "Who are you?" Emma lowered her eyes. "I'm just doing my job." Before anyone could ask another question, the operating room doors burst open. 2 senior Marines in dress uniforms entered, accompanied by a gray-haired general and a hospital administrator rushing behind them. The administrator looked nervous. They insisted on coming in. The general ignored everyone else. His eyes searched the room until they landed on Emma. He immediately stood at attention. Every Marine beside him did the same. Then, to everyone's complete shock, the general raised a perfect salute. "Colonel Emma Carter," he said with unmistakable respect. "It's an honor to see you again." The room fell silent. Dr. Mitchell blinked. The general nodded. "The finest combat surgeon our task force ever deployed." Gasps spread through the room. Linda covered her mouth. One resident whispered, "Combat surgeon." The general continued. "She performed emergency operations under enemy fire. During one battle, she saved 19 wounded soldiers in a field hospital after the senior surgeons were killed. She trained military trauma teams across 3 continents." Every mocking remark made over the past week suddenly echoed through the minds of those who had spoken them. Dr. Mitchell remembered every sarcastic comment, every dismissive laugh, every moment he had treated her like an inexperienced beginner. Emma finally spoke softly. "I retired after losing too many people I couldn't save. I wanted a quiet hospital where no one knew my past." The general smiled gently. "You earned every medal this country could give, yet you never told anyone." She looked toward Captain Hayes. "The medals don't matter if the patient doesn't survive." At that moment, the monitor continued its steady rhythm. Each heartbeat filled the room with hope. Dr. Mitchell stepped forward. "I'm sorry," he said honestly. "We judged you before we ever knew you." Emma offered the same quiet smile she had worn on her first day. "Then let's make sure we never judge the next person that way." And no one in the room would ever forget those words. Captain Hayes remained in intensive care through the night, surrounded by machines that quietly confirmed what everyone had once believed impossible. His heartbeat grew stronger with every passing hour. News of the extraordinary surgery spread through the hospital faster than any official announcement. Nurses who had barely acknowledged Emma now spoke about her with admiration. Residents replayed every moment in their minds, trying to understand how someone they had dismissed as an ordinary newcomer had performed one of the most difficult emergency cardiac repairs they had ever witnessed. The next morning, the hospital auditorium filled with doctors, nurses, paramedics, and administrators. No one had been ordered to attend, yet every seat was occupied. They wanted answers. Dr. Mitchell walked onto the stage first. The confident surgeon who had once laughed at Emma looked different now. He took a deep breath before speaking. "Yesterday, I almost made the greatest mistake of my career. I judged a colleague by appearance instead of ability. If Emma Carter had remained silent because of the way we treated her, Captain Daniel Hayes would not be alive today." The room was completely silent. Then he stepped aside. Emma slowly approached the podium, clearly uncomfortable with the attention. She looked across the audience before speaking in the same calm voice everyone had heard in the operating room. "When I joined this hospital, I wasn't looking for recognition. I came here because I believed healing should be quieter than war." She paused. "In combat, bullets never cared about rank. Blood never cared about titles. The wounded only cared whether someone was willing to fight for their life." Many people lowered their eyes. "I've worn military uniforms. I've served in field hospitals with explosions outside the tent. I've lost friends I couldn't save. Those experiences taught me something simple." She smiled gently. "The strongest people in medicine are never the loudest. They're the ones who keep showing up when everyone else is afraid." And at that moment, the auditorium doors opened. Captain Daniel Hayes slowly walked inside, supported only by a single cane. The audience gasped before rising to its feet in thunderous applause. The Marine crossed the room until he stood in front of Emma. Without saying a word, he removed the Purple Heart ribbon from his uniform and carefully placed it into her hands. "You gave me another chance to watch my daughter grow up," he said, his voice breaking. "No medal I own can repay that." Emma quietly returned the ribbon. "Keep it, Captain. You earned it. My reward is seeing you walk." The tears filled countless eyes throughout the auditorium. The Marine saluted. This time Emma returned the salute. The room erupted into applause once again, louder than before. From that day forward, no one at St. Gabriel Medical Center ever called Emma, the new nurse, again. She became the person every doctor hoped would be beside them when the impossible arrived. Her greatest lesson wasn't hidden inside her military record or the medal she never displayed. It was found in her humility, her courage, and her refusal to let pride stand between a patient and survival. So remember this story the next time someone seems ordinary. Heroes rarely announce themselves. Sometimes they wear worn-out scrubs instead of shining uniforms, and sometimes the quietest person in the room is carrying the greatest strength of all. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you never to judge someone before knowing their journey, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in courage, and subscribe for more unforgettable stories of honor, sacrifice, and hope. Until next time, thank you for watching, and never underestimate the quiet hero standing beside you.